Right, everybody, we are back for episode five. Honestly, I've loved every one of these episodes. I've loved all the support and all the messages. Honestly, can't believe we're at five already. But we have to get straight into this because this is another top guest, top guy. Um, really like this guy, and he's going to be really interesting. And I'm sure you're going to pick up loads and loads of information from him. So the floor is yours, mate. You just go. Little introduction. Tell me who you are, or tell everybody else who you are, what you do, and why you're doing it as well. That's also a very, very big one as well. So away you go.
Yeah, of course. No, firstly, thanks for letting me come on, mate. Absolute privilege. So my name's Alfie Barnett. I currently coach at a couple of private academies in the northwest of England, as well as being the analyst for the under-18s at Rochdale AFC. And alongside those roles, I'm also currently studying for my bachelor's degree in football coaching. In terms of why I'm where I am now, I think lockdown shaped me massively. So I grew up in the southwest of Wales in the countryside. So during that sort of period, I was about 14. All I had really, although I'd always loved and played football from a very young age. All I had to do during that period was play football and watch football. So, that's all I did, and that really maybe go and pursue a career in football really because the way I remember it really at that sort of age, I didn't really have a good understanding of the different roles in sport. I sort of saw coaching as just for ex-professional players, but I came across a book because it's during that time that's when I was sort of more motivated to get better at playing really. I came across a book, a sports psychology book, and I'd never really come across sports psychology. But I found that really helpful in terms of helping improve my mindset as a player. It made a big difference. So I thought, that I didn't realize that, you could get this job in sport and football. So I then took a level three BTEC qualification in sport and sports coaching. And as part of that course, you had to volunteer to do a certain amount of coaching. And during that sort of time, I wasn't that interested in coaching. I wasn't very good at it, frankly. So I didn't really have a great idea of where I wanted to work in sport, but it's probably more looking at sports sciences. But over time, I got better at coaching, and I realized that although I still am and I was at the time, very passionate about analysis, that I don't want to spend my whole career behind a laptop. So I love being on the pitch on the grass. So and fortunately from there, as part of the links that the level three sports course had, I attended the coaching conference, where I was able, fortunate enough, to receive an offer to coach football in America for a couple of months in their summer camps, and from there I decided to go to university to study it. So that's where I am now.
Wow, wow. No, it sounds brilliant. Let me just take you back halfway through, right? Just something I want to touch on. And I think part of this is probably on the with people wanting to be modest and they don't want to go off and say blow their own trumpet in a sense. But why would you have said, say back then, when you started off coaching, that you weren't the best or you weren't really that good? Was there because I obviously I'm not saying that you're going to be like elite level straight away, but surely like with a basic understanding of football, you'd have an idea. But is that just you being modest, or were you just in a phase where you just wanted to learn and you just genuinely believed you didn't have the knowledge at that point?
Um, yeah, I frankly, I think that the majority of coaching, no matter how good your knowledge of the game was, and even back then, my knowledge of the game wasn't amazing just because I watched a lot of games.
Yeah.
You learn most from learning off other people, but most of coaching is about connecting and the way you communicate and the way you, especially at that time, because I was coaching under nines team. It might have been different. It was the older ages because it is more about that, and because that's the sort of age I was at. But with the little ones, especially, it's all about managing their attention and and building that connection. So I probably didn't have the you know the fluency of the communication and the organization.
No, that's fair. I think I definitely think like if I would have gone back to when I was say even 18, in terms of like when I started coaching 18, 19 to where I am now, um, communication absolutely massive one. Whereas back then, when I would have started coaching, it would have been okay. I have a session from 6 to 7. I need to show up at 5:30, get everything ready, whatever it is, or maybe it's a longer session. Do the session, session's done. See you later, or see you next week, and then go. But whereas now, it's like as soon as you get a player coming to you, whether they're coming in the door and whatever, coming straight from the car park, it's like how are you, what's going on, all this kind of stuff. And then from there, if they have that connection, it builds. But actually, just talking to me about just about that, what I'm talking about. Why is that sort of so important to? Well, would you say it's important to you as a coach or as an analyst? That sort of communication now compared to going back 5, 10 years ago.
Um, I I mean, it sounds cheesy. I don't say it all the time, but I'm not a massive fan of quotes or anything like that. But I do resonate with the players won't remember what you said, but they will remember how you made them feel, and ultimately,
Yeah,
uh,
brilliant.
it's not just about like the thing I have with connection and relationship building is a lot it's talked about a lot in coaching, but it's not just about the high fives you give before and after the session. It's your tone, the way you come across. Yeah, that ultimately that's and that helps from being a player yourself, right? You'll know yourself. You
Yeah.
know, you don't care how much your coach knows if you don't like him. So
No, yeah,
you know,
massively.
but I do
Actually,
try and go off. How would I want the coach to come across in the way he speaks,
yeah.
But
So,
obviously the difficulty is it's different for different players. So
yeah, I
that's
get you.
in itself, and it takes a lot of time. But definitely that's the key, isn't it? For any young coach starting out, the energy, the way you come across, that's top over any information you give out. And
Yeah.
then you've got that, you can go build from there.
And just something that I actually just want to touch on, and maybe some of the other viewers and stuff will pick up on. But the guest I had on before, I don't know if you know him at all, but he's as far as I know, he's working with the senior team in Rochdale. Callum Dolan.
Yeah, I know.
Would you
I know,
know him? Yeah.
Cal. Yeah, yeah.
Ah, very good, very good. And then so just on that, for you, is there? Say when you're in Rochdale, do you see stepping stones in Rochdale to get to where you want to go to, or no, I'm not using it in a bad way, but is Rochdale kind of like a stepping stone for you to maybe go up and get into a club in say League One or something?
Um, well, there's no point denying that. Obviously, I aim to work full time in the game at some point, so you can't rule that out. In terms of what level that is, I don't know. I don't think, and you need to set a cap on it of where you want to go. I think the beauty of football is like you can't complete it. There's always something you can get better at and go. So I think the sky's the limit in terms of that. But yeah, I haven't been in the role for a while, but yeah, it's great and good people there, and you know in those sort of lower academies as well, you get a lot of responsibility. Like that's the end of the day, and yeah, loving it so far.
And just actually just on that point that you finished on, is that something that there's responsibility part, is that something that like you embrace? Is that something that you really like? Do you like having that responsibility sort of across, I don't know if it's across multiple roles or it's just within your role, but
Yeah.
like what does responsibility sort of mean to you?
No, more so much in that you're doing both the pre-match and the post-match analysis. So both the opposition and your own team. So,
Yeah,
uh, but yeah, like I said, that's the most important thing, not what the badge is or how glamorous it is. And when you're trying to break into the industry, it's all about what skills you're building, and yeah. So I think that I suppose that's sort of one of the challenges, isn't it? Is you've got to put in the long hours, but at the same time, you don't want to get burnt out, um, and you've got to really focus on not branching out too much in terms of dipping your toe in so many things that you're not really thinking about
yeah.
it that hard. That makes sense. So yeah, um, but yeah, in terms of the workload, yeah, it can be difficult if you've got a quick turnaround because you want to get the opposition stuff in, because influences training, but also you've also got to do the post-match stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. And then would you say, are you in a place now where obviously maybe pigeonhole can be the wrong word, but are you in a place now where you know where you want to be? Say so if you just imagine yourself in a full-time football role, wherever that is, do you know exactly what you want to do in terms of like not taking on multiple responsibilities in terms of coaching here, doing analysis there here, and then doing some admin work then some other days?
Ultimately, like obviously, in the future, I'd love to get a work-life balance, but I think
Yeah.
it's impossible.
No,
I think it's honestly impossible. Uh,
especially in football.
Football's bad for it, but the thing is that although there is some incredibly tough times at the start, and there's loads more to come for me, especially when you're trying to bridge that gap to working full time in professional academy. But in the end, I don't think it feels like work,
Yeah.
because it doesn't. But at the same time, yeah, going back to your question in terms of where I want to go, I think reality is from someone from a non-professional playing background, it's very hard to go straight to full time. So I think after graduation, I do see myself as a part-time coach and a part-time analyst. So, and I like that. Obviously, that's time consuming in a way, but I like both coaching and analysis. And I think definitely in the future, I'd like to be a full-time coach, whatever phase that is within an academy, or as well, I think the role of a coach analyst is really evolving, and I think we'll see more analysts being more deeply involved in coaching processes. So I'd say, yeah, 10 years time, either a full-time phase coach or a full-time coach, first team analyst, for example, would be absolutely brilliant if I could achieve that. But I think that's sort of you've got to have more than one discipline when you're trying to go full-time. I think that's definitely key.
And actually, just because obviously, look, we both know football goes on for about 9 months of the year, sometimes even 10 months, depending on how well you do and stuff in the latter end of the season. But going back to your work-life balance, because I like I totally agree. Like it's a passion of mine, so I don't really see this sort of stuff that I do as work. But I suppose one thing I probably didn't really understand when I was younger is how sort of full on and intense it can be in the say during the season. Now, obviously, we both love it, but was that sort of 10 month of intense work? Just say 10 months as an example. Was that something you kind of you always knew about, or was that kind of maybe when you actually got into the industry you realized, all right, well, we're going to be going flat to the mat from August to May or August to June?
Um, no, I think obviously, yeah. I mean, I did watch. It's hard to know in terms of the timing of it, but I did try and watch a lot of, like this interviews from people who worked, and obviously trying to speak to people in this industry, and they all say they all talked about it in terms of, there will be those tough times in terms of even though it may not feel like work at times because it's so demanding in terms of the hours, you will almost feel like giving up, especially if your goal is to try and get an academy, say, and it's not easy to get your foot in the door, but there's definitely you can't undermine the value of just not giving up. Like
Yeah.
if you really want it, you will achieve it. But yeah, you're right. You do need to be aware of the sacrifices because you know it is unsociable hours, and it's very difficult to find the work-life balance that most people would want. But at the end of it, if you can get to a place where the feeling you get every morning is that good that it doesn't feel like you're working, for me, it's just all worth it. But you have to really make a decision on that because you can't be half-hearted about it.
Oh, 100%. Absolutely. Whatever you do, I totally agree. If you go in to go do something, go in to go do 100%. If you're doing anything less, it's a waste of time. And then just right, so the next question I'm going to ask you is, firstly, have there been, I'm sure there has there been, but has there been challenges along the way to where you are right now today? And also, what are potential future challenges you see for yourself say between now and say if you look at that next 10 years as your sort of goals and stuff. So what challenges have you faced, and what challenges do you think you're going to face? And are they going to be the same, or maybe are they going to be different?
Yeah, I think the reality is, I mean, I sort of talked about it, one of them just now in terms of long unsociable hours. Like that is a challenge in itself because you
Yeah,
do question yourself sometimes, especially when the times are tough.
yeah,
I could do something a bit less relaxed. I could still have a career in sport, but it wouldn't be quite the same as this. And but then you'd have a more relaxed schedule. But so you have to have your values and your beliefs because with that as well is that you've got to be a bit bulletproof because in the industry you will be challenged. You will have people that don't like you and what you're passionate about. Um, the reality is, people will disagree with you, but you have to be open to that feedback and you have to be bulletproof because one, you can learn off a lot of people, and you will. So you have to be open to that constructive feedback. Um, but at the same time, you make sure you do have your own beliefs and things that you're passionate about in football because that also is crucial in motivating you to keep going on that journey. So that's a challenge in terms of long hours and the barriers in terms of there's no doubt the coaching industry in the UK is so saturated. So
yeah.
you really have to work for it. But like I said, have the things you're passionate about, have the values, but also being brave. I would say being willing to go outside your comfort zone and deliberately being open to making mistakes is for me is the most crucial thing. And it's quite a generic piece of advice that was given to me, but it's the most important, I think. You have to see the journey as in a bigger in the bigger picture. I'm not saying don't get attached to the short term, but don't let the short term results control your emotion. You have to see it in a bigger picture. Okay, I'm going to do a session tonight that I haven't done before, and it could go badly wrong. But I know that if I get that feedback, and I'm going to be uncomfortable in that moment because the person giving me the feedback is going to be it's not going to be great feedback, but at least I'm going to get better from it.
Yeah.
So it's having being okay with not looking at like it's great when you put on a great session, the feedback's all great and you feel great, but being okay with I don't have to look like a I don't have to look like an amazing coach all the time because I'm going to get better. That's crucial for me. So those are some of the challenges in terms of long hours and like I said, being bulletproof. Um, and of course, as like I said, just getting into the industry, you have to make those sacrifices.
And then, going back to the very start, well, actually, and also touching on the point you just made. Um, so the bulletproof mindset that you had, do you reckon did that come from that sports psychology book that you read a number of years ago? Because just even following on from the constructive feedback, like I know so many people find it hard to take that on board. Like they can say they can take on board like, oh, like, well done, Alfie, brilliant session, like all the kids enjoyed it, or all the whatever, all the players really enjoyed it. But then when it comes to Alfie, this part of the session was actually quite poor, then people just explode nearly. And just going back to that book, is that kind of where your mindset journey started about being bulletproof? Because I think obviously like when you're in the football industry like that, I love that phrase because you do, because you have parents shooting at you, if you kind of that kind of phrase, you have coaches shooting at you, you have might even have the players and stuff shooting at you.
Yeah.
But if you crumble under that pressure, then it's kind of it's you won't last. So just talk to me about where that sort of came from and the journey you've gone on to be like that.
Yeah, I think probably an element of that definitely from that book. I think definitely as a player makes you think about mindset in terms of seeing the bigger picture as well. And yeah, probably a bit from that, but also I've been very lucky to hear from excellent guest speakers and talk to many great coaches and people in the game um, already. And there's a lot of good books out there. I know you're quite passionate about general philosophy books as well. And those are great for it as well in terms of seeing it as a bigger picture.
Yeah,
and don't get too beaten up by a short something really in the short term, because there's always something different you can, if this goes wrong, then do you get what I mean? There's
yeah,
always
yeah.
something else you can do. So de yeah, definitely a little bit from that. But I'd really encourage, reading different types of books as well. Like I know you encourage that a lot.
No, honestly, I think it's so important just to be open-minded. But I love the fact, like, you can be open-minded in terms of, right, maybe I need to move abroad, I need to go somewhere else, I need to take on board. But I think people actually aren't open-minded to make mistakes, and
Yeah.
people can obviously use the mistakes as a way of then potentially falling off. But I sounds like you're similar to me. I use a mistake as a way of learning to go from this session wasn't great. How can I go home and make the next session great? Or when I go and plan the next session, how can I go and make it great? So that's brilliant. Just this last two questions. Um, I know you kind of already touched on this already, but maybe this is, I like to go big and crazy, but is there a massive goal in your life? Like, it can be huge. I want it to be huge. I don't care if it's to be like, if you want to become the president of England or the, whatever, prime minister of England, work away. But is there one massive goal in your life? But like, it can be obviously related to football. It can be related to your life. It can be related to anything. Well, I'd love to know what it is. If you have something that you wanna just do you dream about, and then as I say, like if you reach for the moon and like at least you fall on the stars type thing.
Look, I think everybody dreams about, working in the Premier League or something like that, or on those lines, don't they? And and there's nothing wrong with that at all. I think, yeah, definitely. I think if you were to tell me you could work at first team level as a coach, as an analyst, or whatever, um, and be happy in terms of your family life, and and also I would like, I know everyone does say it a lot as well in terms of I would like to travel. Um, I Yeah, I think if I could work at first team level and have be happy with my life personally as well. For me, that would just be great. But like I said, I don't see a point in putting a cap on it, because
Yeah,
I think it is important to have that end goal and that makes you smile, but at the same time, take the steps as well, because for example, with the traveling bit, like once I break into the industry in England here, for example, then it's going to open those doors to become a lot more flexible to go and travel, or work in football abroad, for example.
yeah.
So just take those steps, I think. But yeah, I suppose it's a difficult one to answer. To be honest, I don't really have a really specific thing.
No,
Like
no, it's good. No, no, honestly, I think at the end of the day, once once you're doing what you love, which you're doing, and once I think obviously everyone wants to have like a happy family, whether it's your own family, friends, all that kind of stuff. Everyone wants to have that sort of positive environment. So once you have that, and you obviously love what you do, and you're not just waking up and dreading what you do, then honestly, that can be a big goal. So that's brilliant. And then the last question to finish that I finish off every episode with, from a really good mate of mine, Jack Sweeney Leahy, and well, his question is that I ask is what is something that you're going to go work on, say, obviously starting Monday tomorrow. So from Monday to Sunday, what is something that you can do in that time to improve your career, improve your life? Now, look, I know it's hard sometimes to just like say, oh, just do one thing. But is there something that maybe comes to mind? Like, do you want to keep the momentum up that you're on now? Is there, or maybe there is one thing that you can maybe do this week that's going to improve next week and the week after?
yeah, I think yeah. I mean, I do think it's about consistency. Obviously, I'm quite busy at the moment with the work and the uni, and the coaching and the analysis. Um, but I think definitely connecting with other people as well. I think that's crucial. What I'll say is, although m most of my work is based around most of my week, sorry, is based around work and uni, and I do think try to speak to somebody either new or someone that I'm not in contact with regularly each week. That I think that's crucial.
Yeah.
both in terms of maybe use it in a footballing sense, like you and myself, or also in your personal life, because like I said, it's quite easy to get in that trap of just um, doing your work and doing your coaching. So I think that's crucial. Yeah.
Super. Honestly, top class chat, top class. Like bits of information to take. Honestly, like I love, and that's part of the reason why I love doing this because for me anyway, every guest gives me one or two bits, and sometimes even more to go home with. So I took so many from you, which is class. I hope everyone else who listens to this episode takes so many lessons as well. And
Well, thanks for doing it, mate. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, it's a great little podcast to do, and
oh, and honestly, like I've been saying to, even to people afterwards, what I plan on doing is coming back in a year's time and seeing where we're going because a lot can change in 3 months, 6 months, so much can change in the space of a year. So, well, obviously we'll keep in contact and I'll no, honestly, I'll be looking out for your work now, eh?
top man,
Right, mate. Honestly, absolutely appreciate it. Thank you very much.
top man.
Right, see you later on.